Welcome to Sci-Fi and
Welcome back to
Fantasy. Thank you, Yule. Do you want to do it?
No, not at all. You can do it.
Welcome back to
I
Sci-Fi.
can
Christ!
I'm so sorry. Jill hates me too.
Jesus, man.
Welcome to Sci-Fi and Fantasy Read Along. Today we are going to be looking at chapters 37 through 41 of Shadows Linger by Glen Cook. Hey everybody, how are you doing?
Doing all right, Yule. Thanks for the intro.
I'm doing fine. Thank you for entertaining us already. I'm sorry the rest of us can't hear that.
All right, so yes, all of that stuff is true. Did you guys? This was a hard set of chapters for me. I had a real bad ride.
Huh.
And I also have to say that I don't remember any of this. Like, none of it. It's like, did I read the book? Because I was sad. I was angry. I was cursing Glen Cook.
I love the Suju chapters, and so maybe my brain was just on, on the same wavelength Glen Cook is. But yes, I really dug these chapters. Loved them. They were great.
I thought they were good, but getting through them was a little difficult, or actually getting started. I don't know. It's something about my own life probably that played into it. But I found that, like, towards the end of the chapters that we're reading, there's a lot of questions that I had. So
ooh, good.
I think that really buoys the reading of this part for us.
Well,
Okay.
we all know that, like, I really get into this military stuff, and so all the details and the fortifications and your counter assaults, I eat that up, man. That really grips my attention, so I love it. Unfortunately, it's really boring to describe, but it's really exciting to read.
So there was a chapter in here for you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, he did the thing that Stephen Donaldson's kind of famous for, where he was cruel to a character I didn't want to see being mistreated. All you can do is float on to Mendenville or whatever it's called. Chapter 37, Juniper, the Calm. So the lieutenant has overseen the siege works. He's effected repairs, and Candy has brought up prisoners to start working on a great ramp. They have 600 Black Company troops overseeing about 6,000 men from Juniper.
Yeah, they don't only have, like, prisoners that they've been rounding up, but they actually have the citizens.
I think they conscripted pretty much everybody.
They did, and not only that, but the citizens are actually enjoying doing this. It's one of the first times in a long time. It's the first time in a long time that they've had a focus in their city other than just, like, caring about dead, I guess.
It was like a communal activity, but he said that was one guy, and it was not a popular sentiment.
Well, but at the same time, if you think about it, this whole city has been living under the shadow of this castle for so long, and absolutely powerless to do anything about it. And now they're empowered. They're doing something about it.
It reminds me of an A-Team episode.
Oh, yeah.
Where they come to town, and whoever is, downtrodden, they're building the dun 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 dun, and then you get your montage, and they're building ramps, and they're getting everything together for the siege.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know totally. There's a B.A. Baracus and a cannibal in here, and
What this chapter did was it made me understand some of the stuff from earlier on, where I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, for example, why were they so cagey about keeping under wraps the goings-on up at the Black Castle from the general citizenry? I was like, the general citizens are never going to go up there and see the castle. Now I understand that the intention was that they were going to use the citizenry. They were going to use every resource available to try to stop the Dominator. And that might mean having normal people go up there, which might mean they would figure out the bodies had disappeared into the Black Castle. So that's a mystery solved for me, at least. So One Eye has been set to work undermining a difficult stretch of terrain under one wall of the castle. He's gotten to the obsidian stonework and has started spreading out, but he can't go any further.
Oh, he casts us another awesome spell, Soften Stone. to make the digging go faster. He softened it up. Maybe it's like hard clay now. I don't know. I thought it was really fascinating. He's like, oh, he discovered this new spell. I'm like, well, where did he discover it? Like,
I mean, did he discover the spell, or did he just figure out a way to use it? Because
it says specifically
how
he
I
found a
took it.
combination of spells which turn stones soft enough to be worked easily. So don't know what that was, but he figured it out, and he's using it to maximum effect.
All right, so the captain comes to observe and to vent to Croker. Whisper's got the captain running the entire city.
Well, he didn't come to Croker to vent. It's just he was just kind of like absent-minded. He was a little morose, and Croker sees an opportunity there and starts needling him a little bit and says, "Hey, you know, I'm the analyst. I'm the historian. It's just like you got to share stuff with me so I can put it in." And so the captain opens up and starts lamenting that he's becoming a city manager, which obviously he doesn't want to do.
Is part of the reason why he's having such a hard time was the travel? How long were they out there? 10 months or something like that?
But he said he hadn't seen Silent in more than a year.
We're only getting little bits and pieces of how it is moving. You know, we've read many a book where, you know, travel's travel, and it's irritating and horrible to read 10 pages of it, much less the year of it.
You were just talking about how the citizenry was so excited about working on a project, a communal project. It was also in there that the Black Company, they've been on the road for a really long time, and now they're all amped up to work. But that's not the captain's problem. They had violence that they wanted to take out in, I guess, stonework and siege equipment.
But I think that these two things that I'm talking about go hand in hand. And one is that, you know, some of the populace are really excited to be doing some communal thing for productive reasons. The reason they are is because you've got a duke and a high priest that haven't really engaged the people at all. And in fact, that's what the duke said earlier. He came out and said it. He's just like, I leave them alone and they leave me alone. And that's not leadership.
All right, so the lady is pretty short on money. This is one of the things that the captain imparts to Croker. He says that all of this work that they're doing, cleaning up the catacombs and stuff, so the Duke and Hargadon are asking for all of these projects. Since you've got people working, how about we get these things done too? And it comes out that the captain's, he's guessing that the lady's going to steal all the money out of those catacombs because she's now broke. Mm-hmm. They've expanded the empire too long, too fast.
Well, it is kind of funny, but, you know, Croker did mention that he's like, well, we've always been paid on time. You know, that's never been an issue. And I thought it was hilarious. He's like, the troops get paid, be they mercenaries or regulars. And he's like, but it's almost a tradition for commanders to screw their troops occasionally. That's hilarious, man.
That was a good one. I like that
I got
too.
tickled.
It sounds like the Black Company. Obviously, we know that we find out here that they've squirreled away money. They have a lot of money, the Black Company, and they're not really in want for anything. But you know, you do a job and you want to get paid. You want to get paid what you establish that you're going to get paid, and if you don't,
it's good for morale to pay your mercenaries, I think.
Sure thing. Even again, if they're not going to do anything, what have they been doing with money the last year? You know,
drinking,
nothing,
eating.
Yeah, at best.
Yeah.
Nothing much.
Yep. Well, you know, it's obvious that the captain just has this feeling that, you know, the lady's gonna loot the catacombs. But what I think he's really getting at when he was saying that, he's like, it's all these extra tasks. It doesn't matter. It's a waste of time. I think there was something else he was thinking, like the Dominator's going to get out, or the city's going to be conquered by the lady. Either way, all of those tasks are going to be for no reason whatsoever. And in my opinion, they're wasting their time. They're not focusing on the task at hand. They're wasting time when they should be focusing on taking out the Black Castle.
I guarantee you that those people, the Duke and whatever Hargadon, they're not actually directing any of the citizenry to do anything. They have a wish list. It's their honey-do list. They're like, hey, lady, we invited you here. Can you tack these things on? She's not doing any of those things.
Okay, that's good. Well,
she's obviously concentrating on the
castle,
the Black Castle,
the task at hand.
The task
well,
at
that's
hand.
what the captain is saying. Is just like all of those tasks.
They're just giving him a headache.
Yes.
They're asking him for all of these things. It's causing him a headache, and he's like, if she gets through this, expect some changes. And then Croker suggests, maybe we made a mistake crossing the Sea of Torment. And the captain says, You think?
He's like, yeah, I've known that for years.
He said that Raven had the right idea.
Yeah.
Croker suggests that's possible, just maybe they switch sides.
And he's like, that's ridiculous, Croker.
Do you want to spend 29 years running from the Taken? Because it's going to be another 29 years before that comet's back in the sky.
The captain has a better idea. He's just like, wait till we find some place that's relatively civilized, and then we'll just march away.
All right, well, the captain ceases to be interested in these subjects, so he changes them. He warns Croker. The lady, she will be arriving tonight. And then Croker's like, tell her I'm dead. Well, the captain wants to make a joke out of this because it's just the way. They do this to Croker periodically. They give him grief about those stories that he wrote. And Croker kind of snaps at the captain. He's like, Raven, I know things that can get us all killed. Silent too.
Yeah, but then the captain's like, well, now I know. Like, I may not know what you know, but I know you know something. So it's the same difference, Croker. Sit down and shut up, and let's hope for the best.
He just knows that somebody knows.
That somebody
and that's
knows.
enough.
Just that little inkling of a trail will lead you to the next piece. We've seen really good detective work in this book.
Yeah, sort of.
With a whole bunch of people doing detecting, and even like Dullard's like Shed had to figure things out eventually.
Shed's not a dullard. He's just a.
Well, I know. He
has a lot of
put him
vices
down below the other people.
Chapter 38, Juniper, the Storm. It's just after midnight, and Elmo rouses Croker from sleep. Whisper is here to take him to Duratil. The lady has asked for him specifically.
Yeah, but the captain was just like, she's forgotten you, Croker. It's like, you're just a soldier. And sure, boom, as soon as she arrives, very first thing.
That's what Whisper says, is the first person she asked for was you, historian.
Not the captain, not Elmo, not the Taken, not the Duke.
And then Croker goes into the whole thing again, and I can't go through the gaze and be able to, hide the information from her.
No, nothing can be hidden from the eye. There's a little more foreshadowing right here. He thinks that eventually the lady thinks she will be toppled, and that is her interest in him as a historian, is that she does not want to be abused by history and historians.
She doesn't care what people think about her.
Not right now.
But in the grand scheme of things, I guess she doesn't want other people to use her and what she did incorrectly. She wants it to be all out there.
Yep.
Accurately portrayed, exactly.
She's got a little bit of self-doubt. She's a little bit of insecure. She's not so strong in her position that she feels she's invincible.
Are we supposed to care about her?
Yeah,
I mean,
I think a little bit.
She's the big bad too.
Yeah, but
right?
the sequence right here, she shows her humanitarian side.
Humanitarian?
Not humanitarian. I'm sorry.
You mean her human side?
Yes, her human side.
If she has one.
She must. She has warm hands.
Oh, that's right. She the first thing she does when Croker shows up, she's like, "Ooh, Croker."
She smiles at him.
Yeah.
She holds out her hand, which he touches and says is warm, and he forgets that she's not undead. She's a living person.
Even though, like, with all the thousands of years, it has to be, like, magic that makes her the way she is.
I assume it sustains her, yeah.
He describes her as being, like, 20 years old and not having aged a day, while the rest of them had obviously aged badly. And so he's like, so that's not what she really looks like. That's just, like, magical, glamour or something. But he said, I could think of her only as cold, dead, and deadly. More in the order of a lethal zombie than a living, breathing, even possibly vulnerable person. And I think Croker was picking up on that too. She was a little vulnerable, at least in her fears, but she wasn't treating him like he was just a soldier. She wasn't treating him like an analyst. She was legitimately happy to see him, and she treated him like that. And I'm like, oh, that's touching.
If you can trust the smile.
Sure.
I mean, she could play him like a fiddle.
I mean, well, I was going to say that.
He
I mean,
wouldn't know.
If all things were good, would Croker and the lady be able to settle down without her destroying everything in the area?
Maybe she just thinks his crush is just cute. You know what I mean?
I don't know. On the one hand, I could feel that way, but the book doesn't play it that way. So I just think, well, that's just silliness.
I think she's
and
too
the
smart.
reality is that she's super evil, and regardless of her foibles or the things that she's afraid of, it's only because of her. She only fears for herself. Sure, that's a human tendency to care about yourself. When you're on fire, you want to put it out, but that's all it is.
That's a theme running through these chapters. Is we saw it originally when the magistrate came and visited Shed, and they were talking about Wally and how when people are desperate, they're only concerned for themselves. Well, despite some special attention, Croker isn't there to contribute. There's a meeting. It's got what did Glen Cook say?
Feeling grotesquely out of place amidst the company, which included all but one of the great evils of the world, and the Dominator was there in spirit, casting his cold shadow.
The captain's there, the lieutenant's there, they're fielding questions, the Duke is there, he's fielding questions. The lady's basically getting everything she can. She's getting her data download, as Philip is fond of saying. She's getting it from them in person.
She was talking about what she was going to do with the castle, and apparently, the Duke and Hargadon were protesting, either that they had stolen all the citizens, that they're using all these resources. I don't know what their protests were. But Croker says that both of them regretted asking her for help. I'm like, how could you regret asking her for help? I mean, don't they understand that the alternative to not asking her for help would have been the Dominator would have already gotten out?
Talking about human emotions, though, obviously, the grass is greener. They had a good run when she was not interfering and the Taken weren't there and the Black Company wasn't there. And now nothing is the way that it was. Everybody hates change, man. Everybody hates it. And they're experiencing it firsthand. And I think they see the writing on the wall. She's never going to leave.
Yeah. And they're powerless to stop her.
The Duke was now impotent within his own domain, and Hargadon little better.
All right, so this meeting was basic to deliver to us one point. The assault on the castle is going to take place at dawn, essentially 30 hours from the time of this meeting.
Day after tomorrow. Yep.
I wonder if that means, did she just arrive?
Yeah.
I was to understand that Croker was around.
Yeah, is Croker here?
God, come on, that was the first person she asked for. Not the Duke, not the Captain, not Elmo, not the Taken.
Not Whisper, not Feather.
Croker.
What do you mean Feather? There's no Feather.
Oh, Feather's dead.
Feather's dead.
Whoops. Sorry, Feather.
Feather's dead. All right, so the Dominator did not get the memo. It all begins at about midnight the following night when a bladder comes launching over the wall and fills the gap between the ramp and the walls of the Black Castle. And 100 or more creatures come piling out and down the ramp and in and amongst the sleeping. And the first thing they do, I think, is start putting out lights.
It hurts their eyes or something. And I had the other thought is that
he said they were more accustomed to darkness.
That may also be true, but I think if you take out the lights, that makes our counter offensive less effective. It restrains our ability to effectively counteract them because we can't see, and they can probably see better than we can. But you start
unless the countermeasure that is in store for them is a whole bunch of fire. The first indication that there is a problem, and the lieutenant is up yelling orders amidst the chaos. All siege weapons are to aim at the ramp. And then a barrage of fire, trebuchets throwing burning items and oils onto the ramp to prevent the retreat back into the castle with the bodies that those creatures certainly came in search of.
Well, a couple of chapters ago, Croker was commenting on the lieutenant building all these siege weapons, and he's like, "Well, that's silly. Fat lot of good any of those will do against the Black Castle, but whatever, why not?" Well,
it turns out he was wrong.
What?
Dude, they had everything too. They had ballista, catapult, mangonel, and trebuchets.
Yeah, I mean,
that's all just chucking junk up there.
Well, the lieutenant
right?
held nothing back. He created every single toy he could possibly think of, and he held the line. He did. Yeah,
Dude, I had never heard of a mangonel, but I'm not really into all that stuff. But I looked that one up, and I guess it uses rope to make the to fling the stuff, whatever they're
Rock?
Don't they all?
whatever they're flinging at us. Yeah,
I think they all do.
Whereas the other ones are all like gravity.
Well,
swinging
trebuchet
and
is just
stuff
like
like that.
Trebuchet is the gravity, but the ballista is like a big crossbow, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess that would be
Yep.
true for sure.
So this was like really endearing. I mean, it gets. I don't know where the Taken are. Well, actually, Journey was here.
Well, they haven't arrived yet. I mean,
Yeah.
Journey was the one. He's the weak link. You know, he's the weakest of the Taken, and he was on patrol. He knew something was up, though. He was attentive in the moment, and he dove on them as they were trying to make their break out. His magic is ineffectual, however, because they're prepared for them.
He killed a couple of them, but it was like blam, blam, blam. And I had this. I don't know what the bamming is, but apparently it's really loud.
It's called the BAM machine.
Oh, it is.
I believe.
Yeah.
That's how he refers to it, the BAM machine.
Well, yeah, and I did what he just called the BAM machine, and I really, really like this because Croker doesn't know what kind of technology they have, and so he just makes up his own description for it because he doesn't even know what it is. He calls it the BAM machine. Just like, do you remember? And it'll happen here in a little bit, and I'm not ruining anything, but they're like putting out fires with a cat of nine tails. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know what that is either, but he said it looked like a cat of nine tails. So he just called it a cat of nine tails, and they're whipping with the flames out with that. So I don't know what that is. I don't know what the BAM machine is, but I think Glen Cook did a really good job of portraying something in a way that, we understand what it does, but we don't have any idea what it is, and neither would Croker.
Well, we get it from his senses, too. When he was fleeing downhill with Elmo and One Eye and all those guys, and it was just like something crunching the ground behind them.
Yeah.
Like, he's giving us his sensory information as well, which is nice.
Yeah. To me, it's like anti-aircraft artillery is what it's exactly.
Flak.
Yeah. That's kind of how I envision it, but I don't know exactly what it is. But, yeah, kudos to Glen Cook for creating something that we don't understand what it is either, but we can identify.
It's magic.
It might be.
It's magical technology.
Sure.
Because remember the Howler had those bombs, and like whenever they're dropping bombs on this place, they got to go and resupply. So it's not just spells that they're casting one after the other. It's like, tanglefoot bags and alchemical devices that they're going to get that they have made in preparation for these battles, and then they go and drop them and use them.
Yeah, and
munitions, as it were.
Who was dropping basically the bombs of plague?
That was the Howler.
Oh, was it the Howler?
The kid, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's right. I remember. Yeah.
That's a thing that we never really talked about in the Black Company. Like, that was a mistake that we made. We never really put those two things together at the end.
The chemical warfare, or
that it was from chapter 1.
Yeah, when there were little pockets of plague everywhere that the Forvalaka attacked.
Howlers. That was either the Howlers' devices that somebody was dropping or something.
But it was also there in conjunction with the Forvalaka attacks.
Well, the Forvalaka was Shifter.
Yes, I think so. I think I agree. I do agree.
One of the Forvalakas was captured and released, or captured and taken on the boat in a cage, and the other one took its form. It was Shifter, took his form or her form, and was running around in town with those globes of pestilence.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fun stuff. Well, yes, I think you're right. Magical or alchemical technology.
Right. Alchemical technology. All right, so the BAM machine does not allow for carpet riders to operate with impunity. It's just not a thing that they're able to do anymore. They are going to get shut down every time. We just saw in the last episode that Feather got killed that way.
Yep.
And I think it was it Journey's once wife? Mm-hmm. That was the terminology that was used this time around to let us know that she's dead.
Yep.
She's gone. And her carpet was destroyed.
Yeah, it wasn't clear whether or not she had died, just that she'd been taken out, but clear it says, yeah, it was his wife, so past tense. And, I got to say, when it comes down to, like, aerial combat, you don't just send your planes in one at a time.
I wouldn't know.
Well, that way the entire fortress could focus all of their firepower on one flying thing at a time.
Well, what's to stop you from getting in your carpet really, really high up and dropping one bomb from super, super high where they can't even reach you? What's to stop that from happening?
Probably nothing.
Stealth bomber.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But
Well, the limper is smart enough to know that air superiority there is no air superiority. So he lands his carpet and goes at it on foot with a sword. Reminds me a little bit of Animander Rake, in fact. Big black sword, and like chopping through him like lard, and nothing can touch him.
do you guys
He's just magically protected to the nines.
do you guys remember the Black Company when they were following along behind the limper, like after, like days after, and there was like huge fields of melted people?
Yeah.
I mean, why didn't he use that spell? Whatever that was.
Was it him?
They suspected it was him. I thought it was him.
Could it have been the enemy?
I had the impression at the time it was the limper casting that spell. But maybe it could have been the enemy. But it's just the limper is just a very blunt instrument. He doesn't do a lot of thinking or strategy or tactics. And this is like a perfect example of him fighting with the best idea that comes into his head, which is get off his carpet and start swinging.
He's very effective.
Dude, there's like a moment when there's like 20 people on top of him, and he still shrugs
How do you
them
take
off.
out the Hulk?
Yeah.
You
don't have enough people to grab
Yeah.
him. Because once you do, then, there's not enough people. You need 50 people, and only 20 can touch him.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Well,
Or if it's
How do you hold
if
that
if it's
guy
D&D,
down?
you can only be surrounded by 8 people.
I know. But seriously, if you
Exactly.
think about it, I mean,
Exactly.
even if they're holding him down, it takes like 20 of them to hold him down. So they're effectively out of combat.
But each one of these
couldn't.
enemies is worth 2 or more, and they're magically protected. So they're going through the Black Company and the citizens of Juniper like butter.
That's right. The citizens, not just the ones that are have been imprisoned, so to speak.
What was it, Candy's
But
prisoners?
the citizens are out. They're picking up swords off the ground, and they're swinging
Yeah,
them
but-
too.
and getting killed for it.
Yeah, but they have no
And
they
getting
have no
killed.
discipline whatsoever, and so sometimes they get in the way of the Black Company's whatever maneuvers, and so they just start cutting down these citizens who get in their way.
Well, that was a great part. Sometimes they died by our own sword. And this is all Croker looking from the tents where he's like gonna be like operating on people soon.
I think he already is. I mean, I
Already.
think straight
Yeah.
away he was working on people and bemoaning the fact that One Eye wasn't with him.
Yep. Hey, did you guys see how Croker described the limper? He's like, the limper scampered up the slope like an insane chicken, cackling and hunting creatures who hadn't died on the steps. Oh, yeah. I don't know. I was tickled.
Fool Journey stole the limper's carpet. He got shot down when he went for his initial dive. He got shot down and wrecked a carpet. And he walks through the field hospital. And old Croker's working away, and here comes Journey, and he looks worse for wear, and he's smoking and smoldering, and he steals the limper's carpet. And he takes it for a ride, and he goes and he dive bombs the wall again, and they shoot him down again.
That is the limper's carpet. And the limper had parked it there so it wouldn't get destroyed.
And the limper, Croker can hear the limper cursing Journey for destroying the carpet over all of the tumult. All of it. He's like, God damn you. He said something really, I don't have my book on me, but he said something really, really funny. Glen Cook did. He said he's back from his other crash or something like that. Because it didn't kill Journey yet again. There were some high moments for me, and that was to me the one, because Journey, we don't see anything. We never got any information about Journey other than he was married to Feather, and he looked real intimidating in his armor at the very end of the Black Company, and now he's like one of them, and that's it. This is all we're getting from him.
Well,
Well, the one thing we do learn is that any of the Taken, well, it seems that any of the Taken can ride the carpets of other Taken.
Which is also foreshadowing.
Does Journey have a death wish, obviously?
He might. His wife just died. He's obviously furious, right?
I think he shows an extreme disregard for self-preservation, and it might be because he's emotionally torn up. I mean, it was his wife. I'd like to think I wouldn't just be like foolishly near suicidal, but you never know. I mean, honestly.
You know, they'd been married for 10 years. 8 years.
Yeah. And on their honeymoon, their wedding
maybe
night.
he's really happy. Yeah, they got captured on their honeymoon. That's right.
Oh.
Black Company did that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I gotta think that, even after 10 years, you still love that person. Even if you're taken, you probably still love that person.
Or not.
Or maybe not, but I can't imagine the lady taking that away from them. But apparently...
No, but you bring up the lady, so let's talk about the lady. She has, I think the word was actinic, in reference to the line that she's drawing from Duratil that's attacking the castle. It's so bright. It's like an arc lamp, if you know what that is.
Yeah.
That's how bright it is. You can't look at it.
It hung against the night like an improbable clothesline wriggling of indeterminate color, iridescent. Its tip threw sparks off the obsidian material like the meeting of flint and steel magnified 10,000 times, generating an actinic glare too intense to view directly.
I don't know that thing had any effect. I have to assume that it's like destroying the tower, which, I don't know, is weakening the Dominator's portal somehow. I don't know, but she's just like hitting the wall.
I would hope they couldn't be powering the portal while they're expending all that energy and also seeing, what is happening to it?
It's just being deteriorated. Down in the mine, you've got that the exposed obsidian surface. In Whisper, she puts that bomb on it, which eats through that same material.
The fire egg, yeah.
And that opens up a hole so that she can get in. So obviously, you can damage the walls, like we saw it in the last episode that they were eating the walls with fire and stuff like that. But I mean, it doesn't seem to be having any effect on the portal. You know what I mean? It's like, what are you wasting your time on the walls for?
I try to wrap my head around this. Like, how do you get in? I mean, it's got these. It's got these magical.
The Limper already found a way. He charged in, right? And Whisper, she found a way. She burned a hole in, and she's in.
Well, that's true, but I can only imagine that they've got other defenses. But for all intents and purposes, I just had this impression that the Black Castle was impervious to normal harm. Like, nothing can harm it except like strong magic. Yeah. And it's probably...
I can't just take a butter knife and start chipping away, is what you're saying.
And it's probably deadly.
Okay.
I imagine, you die.
Well, the first person that ever touched it died. Yeah. I want to go knocking with my knuckles, that's for sure. Hey, can you open up?
Dead.
No, I'm not
dead. Yeah, you're dead. They knock on the gate just fine.
Yeah.
They do, but...
Now, is it always somebody that has the medallion, though?
I have no idea.
Because we didn't see anybody knock on it that didn't have the medallion, right?
I think you're right.
So I'm wondering if maybe that was the reason.
That's your safe passage.
If I was... It's safe passage, yeah, exactly.
So we could have just gotten Shed to come in here and sneak into the castle and destroy everything.
Funny enough, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, he could have done it.
But he took that with him, so it wasn't available.
He certainly did.
Oh, well, you guys had asked if the lady had done anything effective. It said chunks flew from the castle where the lady's line touched, each blazing with that brilliant light, and thin cracks in crimson appeared against the black, spreading slowly.
I bet that would be really cool visually if that was in some sort of movie.
It'd be great to see it animated, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I was thinking animated, actually. But there's a lot of untapped material for
Hollywood,
Amazon to screw
Netflix,
up.
Amazon, anybody that wants to pick it up. Now's the time.
That's right.
Now's the time.
Yep.
It's a good series. All right, so at some point in time, there is this moaning that kind of rises from inaudible to audible. Croker hears it, and he thinks he hears the words,
Croker hears it.
Ardath, you bitch. And I think that's the indication that we're supposed to understand that the Dominator is free.
Or nearly free.
I was thinking, because wasn't this an internal kind of voice that he heard?
Read it.
Or
read it.
A strange, deep-throated, almost inaudible moaning began. It had me shuddering before I noted it consciously. I don't know, for some reason when I was reading that, I was just kind of thinking Croker was sensing it, but I'm totally willing to not think that way.
I'm not going to try to change your mind because it doesn't matter to me.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. I think it was the second. I don't know. For some reason, I was thinking that he was just in tune.
No, he said the sound shook the whole ridge. He said it came from everywhere at once.
Well, Silent arrives at the field hospital with Captain's orders. There's trouble with the Taken. The old company is to get to a ship flying a red banner down at the waterfront, sail to Mendenville, tie off some loose ends.
Mendenville, isn't that where...
That's where Shed is.
Shed is.
Shed's
Asa
down
went there
Yeah.
before. Raven was there with
Pawnbroker
Darling.
and Kingpin went.
I don't think we know.
Oh, and
I don't think we know
and
where
the,
Raven went, do we?
No, I think so.
yeah,
Yeah.
he went where Shed went.
Shed didn't know where he was going. He just got on a boat and paid a lot of money to go there.
Yeah, but
And then
people
it
were
was
like,
going to
he went to
Mendenville.
Mendenville.
Well, Asa
Yeah.
knew exactly what happened to Raven and where. Oh, he didn't know exactly, but he knew where, and it was Mendenville, and that's where they sent. That's why they sent Pawnbroker and Kingpin down there to try to figure out what. Do an investigation, get down there and get it done.
And kill Bullock if you have to.
Yes.
Bullock. Poor Bullock.
So
Poor Bullock.
guys, I'm sorry, I got a $1,000,000 question here. So Ardath, is that the lady's true name?
That's what I was
I don't
wondering.
know if it's her true name. I feel like if it is, the Dominator's spilling some family secrets right now.
Of course he would.
I think those papers aren't that important all of a sudden.
All of a sudden. All of a sudden. But I mean,
Maybe
might not be.
Ardath is the person that got this whole portal thing started, but because it took so
It's
long,
not a very
it's
good
like finally
portal.
got something to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ardath, you bitch!
Stupid.
You don't even know how to make a,
Yeah.
a portal.
Yeah, it might
for
be
me.
his high priest. His high priest who blew it.
You
He's
put
just
it
like,
here, you dummy.
Yeah, it might be his own people who screwed up.
Well, we leave that chapter on a really, really sad note, in my opinion, and that is that Elmo is inside the castle.
Yeah, and Croker knows that too. And I was just like, he's all busted up, man, and I felt it. He's like, Elmo.
Well, he said Elmo was his best friend.
Yeah.
So
Elmo followed
that's
the
it.
Limper
That's
into the castle when the Limper said, "Follow me."
The Limper gave a really good rallying speech to where he got like citizens and Elmo involved.
All he said was "Follow me," but he did such
He
a
said
good job.
something else, if I recall, but it really doesn't matter.
He did such a good job slaughtering people. They
Yeah.
were literally just holding off the enemy until the Limper could arrive and deal with them, because he was just cutting through them like butter, and they couldn't really do any harm to these creatures. So when that guy says "Follow me," you're like, "Yeah, damn straight, I'm gonna follow
I
you."
like the way you. Yeah,
They
it's
did.
like-
Wait, what do you mean? Into the jaws of what? Death? Oh no. Now, I think
Well-
One Eye had the right idea. He did not follow Whisper. He thought about it and he was like, "Nah, I got a bad feeling about this." And so he went and hung out with Croker. I think that was smart.
Well, yeah. it
Well,
is.
you know, but
It was.
come on, he's
What's One Eye gonna do in there? Come on.
But he's lived 100 years. No, he's been with the company 100 years.
One Eyes wanted to like die and quit, and the minute his brother died, right?
Yeah. Tom.
And yeah, and I mean, whatever. Yeah, it's cool. Self-preservation.
Well, he
man.
was the first one to recognize who Soulcatcher was.
What do you mean?
And he didn't. He recognized who Soulcatcher was before they hired on with Soulcatcher in Black Company.
Oh, yeah.
One Eye knew who that was. Didn't say a word. Chapter 39, On the Run. 96 men made it to the ship,
Whoop.
but not Elmo and not the captain. Silent produces a letter from the captain for Croker to read aloud.
You were right about the Taken, Croker. They do suspect, and they do intend to move against the company. I have done what I can to circumvent them by hiring a ship to take my most endangered brothers to safety.
So there's also a private word to Croker at the end, suggesting that Croker's original notion that they might have to switch sides, they might have to switch sides. Mm-hmm. It depends on whether or not they can outrun the Taken.
He said he took 96 brothers, and he said a dozen were men from whom the order had not been met. So somebody were like, "What? You guys are leaving? Well, I'm coming too then. I don't want to stick around."
Well, they're not going to turn them away, right? But they were literally after the people who had come from the south.
Yeah.
That original group of people. That's who they wanted to save. That's who the captain was trying to save.
Yeah, and he said that the missing, they couldn't find everybody. And he said missing were about 100 of the brothers from the old days. So they saved about half. Less than half.
Well, One Eye is more concerned about the war chest.
Yeah, he asks after it.
He
because,
cries
like,
because it's not there.
He does. Yeah. Well,
Silent couldn't bring it.
It was probably one of the things that kept him going all this time, maybe even for all time. And it was just yet another thing that was lost to him.
He is famous for avarice.
That's true. That's true. I thought that was hilarious. Out of all the things he could be thinking about right now, he's like, the chest. Where's the chest?
So somebody tells them to come up topside to take a look at what's going on, because apparently the fighting has gotten, it's been elevated to another level entirely. They're 2 miles downriver in that ship. And he says that the castle and Juniper are illuminated as if on a cloudy day. That's that clear. The castle has become the base of a fountain of fire stretching miles into the sky.
That's incredible.
And inside the fire, a giant writhes in agony.
That's the magical conflagration they were witnessing from miles away. Is just like, I just pucker up to thinking about it. Seriously.
Miles into the sky. Fires shooting out of the castle. Miles into the sky. That is a nutty thing to think about.
Oh my God. We thought One Eye and Silent were actually pretty darn, and Goblin were really good wizards. And then you compare them to this? Oh,
So there's a ball of light that forms on the walls of Duratil. It is described as though it might be stained glass, about 200 yards in diameter. It starts to travel from the walls of Duratil to the Black Castle. It presents the lady's face. It's like it's rolling. One side of it seems to have the lady's face on it.
At some point, Croker can feel the lady's eyes looking at him.
It's like her gaze falls upon them on that ship.
Yeah.
And he feels the need to say out loud, "I didn't betray you, you betrayed me." And then that ball, that glowing orb of light drifts into the fire, and we hear that same all-pervasive moaning voice say, "I have you, Ardath."
So she's what? She's trapped in this thing now? Is that what that is?
No, I don't know, man. I don't know. I viewed it as she was going to fight personally. That's how I looked at it. She's dropped the ranged attack and she's closing.
Well, I think maybe Yule was right. Maybe he trapped her and is bringing her to him.
Maybe.
Well, there's that one part on the globe where when Croker said those words, like, "I didn't betray you, you betrayed me," he said he could see the hurt in her eyes.
Yeah, but that had nothing to do with the spell. It had everything to do with him thinking that his communication to her got through.
It did.
Well, he thinks it did.
This whole scene is a little confusing. I'm not sure who's winning and who's fighting. I know who's fighting.
Well, I think we can figure it out.
It's the Dominator and it's Ardath, but there's so many powerful things going on. I can't tell who's winning and who's losing. But the Dominator said, "I have you."
I don't think we're supposed to have a winner here.
Well, I think the thing is that we're supposed to still worry for the Black Company once they're on the run like they are. And so regardless of what happens at the end of this, we have the impression that they're still on the run for a reason. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, they don't know the result. They don't know the ending. So they got to keep going with what they're going to do anyway.
How did the lady know where they were?
What do you mean, how did the lady know where they were?
I mean, how did they know they should?
On the ship,
yeah, how
mean?
did they know she had run? Why did she?
Maybe she didn't.
Well, Croker was convinced that their eyes connected and there was some form of communication.
They got a connection, dude. They got soul.
She's inside. Her face
entwined.
is on the side of a 200-yard diameter globe of stained glass, right? Mm-hmm. So, and he could see her from 2 miles away, so it's pretty big. Her face is huge up on that thing, and it's rolling around like a beach ball. And her eyes glance out at the river, and there's Croker on a boat looking back. I mean, I think that's how she knows where they are.
Okay.
She saw them.
Okay. Yes, I'm in this titanic battle against fate against the Dominator, and oh hey, there goes my boyfriend.
I'm just saying, man. I have no indication that she knows where they are at all.
Okay.
I've seen no indication that she knows, other than her eyes locked onto Croker's, so he says.
Okay. Focus, woman, focus.
So there is something coming straight at the ship from the castle walls of Duratil. It's coming fast. It looks like it's, oh, is that a carpet?
And I was like,
So it's the ladies' carpet, right? It's even identified as the ladies'
when I-
carpet.
The last of its kind.
The last of its kind.
You guys ever
that's
see
right.
Mad Max? The last of the V8
Yeah.
Interceptors?
oh, yeah. Yeah, that was a real car, by the way. It turns out it had like really bad gas mileage, which is why you had these like 55-gallon drums.
600 horsepower. I mean, in the 70s, yeah, I'd say. The carpet is on its way. It looks like it's being poorly flown by somebody who maybe doesn't know what they're doing. But if you think about the timing, the lady herself looks like she just left the walls, and now the carpet's coming towards the ship at 150 miles an hour, he says. And I'm like,
So I was
how
all,
the hell does he know that?
I'm like, she's really pissed at them. She's coming after them. She's coming after
I
Kroger
thought it was
right
Limper.
now.
I thought it was Journey. I didn't know. I have no idea. I thought it was Journey because the Journey had gone.
Well, that's true because we know that other Taken can ride these carpets, so we don't know exactly who this is.
It turns out that it isn't just the Taken that can fly the carpets, because the passenger is none other than the captain. They see him streak by. He basically hits the ship. The carpet glances off of the mast, goes through the rigging, skims across the water a couple of times, and then smashes at 150 miles an hour into a cliff face, killing the captain.
Oh my god, man, that's ripped my heart out.
I was so pissed.
Oh,
I was so mad.
he made it.
What a way to go,
He made
too.
it.
I mean,
He saw the opportunity. He's like, she's going to put me under the eye. She's going to learn everything. All of our hard work, this escape, it's all for nothing unless I can take this carpet and get out. And he does. But he crashed it.
Dude.
now that's what I was wondering whether or not maybe he was just like sick of it all.
I don't think so, man.
No,
I think if he could have gotten away, he
kind
would
of
have
sounded
gotten
like
away.
that in the beginning of this thing that we were.
He said he didn't want to die in the north. That's
Yeah, I guess.
and he
that's
died in the north.
true. Yeah.
Oh man, it just rips my heart out, guys. I mean,
Even if you jump off at that speed, you're just gonna get mangled on the water.
probably, almost certainly, yeah. Yep.
I don't know. But I mean, he didn't know how to fly it. That's his only failing. He aimed it correctly. He just didn't know how to slow it down. Something. I mean, the same thing happened to Howler, but there was magical intervention with that.
But really, man, he tried to get back to his boys, and he did. And he did. And he was right there.
He came within a hair's breadth. He almost killed them all. In fact. All right, so it's around this time there's a great shrieking of defeat, but nobody knows if it was the lady or the Dominator that was so defeated. And 2 days later, they hold a service at sea, mourning those left behind, and especially the captain, the father of them all.
I don't know. That was sad. I hated this chapter.
I did too. I was mad, and I don't remember it. That's the other thing. I didn't remember this at all. I have no memory of this happening. But that's like me, to overlook the bad stuff, I'm like Croker when it comes to reading books. I kind of tune out the bad stuff.
Sugar and spice. But yeah, this one hurt, man. This chapter
I
hurt.
agree. I didn't like it. You, Glen Cook.
It's not that often I get that sort of emotional response from like a death of a character. Almost never. But I felt this one. I felt Elmo too.
Elmo's not dead yet.
Oh no?
Have you seen his body? Did you see him crash into a cliffside?
Okay. So I was just wondering how many people actually survived, but I don't know what's going on in Juniper, but it seems
We don't know yet.
It seems like an atomic bomb went off is what it sounds like.
A fountain of fire shooting into the sky. Yeah, probably. But at the same time, it's just magic, man. We don't know. Chapter 40, Mendenville, Pathfinding. With Lieutenant newly elected commander, the remnants of the Black Company sail into port at Mendenville. The company locates Kingpin and Pawnbroker within hours of coming ashore. Apparently, Pawnbroker only arrived like a couple of days ago, even though he left a long time ago.
So I guess this travel that the Black Company were on went really smooth.
Sailing.
But it was not that way for
Or
Pawnbroker. But they also kind of like make mention that those guys are like loafing it.
Kingpin is loafing it. And he gets dressed down by the lieutenant. He's like, why didn't you come back? You were supposed to return after blah, blah, blah. And turns out that he couldn't. They were too busy framing Bullock for the murder of Raven.
Yeah, and they're witnesses in going to be a trial.
They can't leave town until the trial's over.
Are they trying to, shaft Bullock, or are they just trying to just, stay here as long as they can?
They were told to kill Bullock if the time came. And so I think they're two birds, one stone. They're making the best of a bad situation. I'm not real sure. He's getting his vacation and he's taking care of Bullock at the same time.
Oh, trust me. It's like me on every job I do. You manipulate circumstances so that you do your job and you get a kickback at the same time. And everybody's happy.
Everybody's happy. So Croker steers Kingpin and the wizards away to a tavern favored by foreign sailors.
So this is where they get all the information that they need, and they start making their decision on what they're going to do going forward.
Can they find Raven?
Yeah. And, what's most important? Well, Darling's most important.
So it's pretty quickly apparent to everybody, especially Croker, I guess, that Kingpin was maybe not the sharpest chisel in the toolbox, and they've already come up with several loose ends that he didn't even think about. He didn't look after Darling. He didn't try to figure out what happened to her. So they have a lot of angles that they have to pursue because he didn't do any of them. Kingpin didn't go to the place where they were staying, though, and he said that somebody had cleared it out.
You mean the place where Raven and Darling had been staying?
That is what I meant.
Yeah, but they'd already paid up for a month, so...
So it's still their place. It's just there's nothing in there. Nothing that the wizards can use to find out where they are.
No personal objects, which suggests to me that maybe they took it.
Or whoever was trying to...
I think Kingpin suggested that maybe Asa came and cleaned it out.
He had no evidence for that, and it didn't seem like his type of thing.
He doesn't have evidence, but he said the guy disappeared the next day.
True.
So he's making an inference based on what little he knows.
And they have an idea that they can, they know where Shed and Asa are going to be, right?
Probably
Or
going to
at
have
least
to find
Asa.
them eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
They're trying to sell Kingpin on this notion that this stuff is important, that the location of Darling is important, and he's like, what's the big hubbub? Who cares? She's just some deaf mute.
Yeah, she's only the White Rose.
What? No, that's not real. So she's described as a magical null point by One Eye. And that as time goes on, that power will get stronger and stronger, and magic just won't affect anything around her in some unknown diameter, radius, or whatever.
She effectively would take out all the extra powers of maybe a Dominator or a Lady or the Taken.
I think they'd have to rely on physical prowess at some point,
And so if you got an army behind you and the White Rose, you're looking pretty good. And it has to be in 29 more years?
That's just the prophecy, man. That's just the prophecy.
Right.
The comet will be in the sky when the White Rose destroys or overcomes the Lady or whatever. The Lady may have just been overcome.
I think this is a very beautiful touch to a magical world, is that if you have people that are naturally born with magical talent, then the opposite will be true. There was some, maybe equal opposites of people born that are magically null. I think that's fascinating. And they almost never interact because somebody who's magically null goes about their entire life and it never shows.
Maybe never knows. Yeah.
Right. And then if you think about it, just if you have somebody as powerful, naturally powerful as the Dominator or the Lady, sooner or later, the opposite is going to rise.
Yeah. In an infinite universe.
Yes.
With infinite time.
Yep.
Infinite possibilities.
I think that's cool. That was a beautiful touch. I didn't even see this coming, and which is really funny because this you're talking about all that other stuff I remembered, but this I had no memory of whatsoever. Like a magical null. Yeah. I like that idea. I think that's a really good story.
Well, it had to be something where it sounds like the White Rose isn't necessarily it's not something you obtain. You don't become the White Rose. You are the White Rose, right?
I think it's like destiny.
Right, exactly. So maybe there's something Darling might be able to do later on down the line to make herself a little bit more effective. But I think wielding a sword is probably the most you need to do.
Be able to cut up some fools.
Since you got to be in the center of all that, you might as well learn to fight.
Well, and use a shield too, because I mean, arrows can kill you.
Yeah. Well, I had to ask myself, you know, I had already asked myself, it's like, how in the heck is Darling going to overthrow the Dominator and the lady with, she's just, come on, she's a barmaid.
She's just a kid.
She's just a kid. She wasn't just a barmaid.
I know she's not just a barmaid.
She is now just a barmaid.
Now she's not. She quit that shitty job.
Yeah, she quit that job.
Yeah, she's quit.
But, you know,
now she's on the
honestly,
road.
I asked myself, it's just like, what skill sets is she, I mean, she's not leveling up in anything, right?
She's smart. She was being trained by Raven, and you have no idea what rigmarole he was having her go through in the last 10 years.
That's true. That's true. They were, I mean, if you go all the way back to the Black Company, they were talking about higher level tactics, which she seemed to have an innate grasp of. But innate tactics is not going to help you destroy the lady or the Dominator.
I have to assume that Raven is teaching her how to fight too.
I don't know.
Else he wouldn't leave her alone in the buskin.
Dude, she's going to be BA. She's going to be BA when it happens.
All right, so they have to figure out what they're going to do, and they turn to Croker. Hey, Croker. He's like, why are you asking me? And he's like, well, you seem to know everything.
First, we find out about Raven and Darling, especially Darling, and we ought to catch Shed and Asa again, in case they know something useful. We got to move fast and get out of town before the Empire closes in. Without upsetting the locals, we better have a sit-down with the lieutenant, get everything on the table for everybody, then decide exactly what we'll do.
Covering all the bases.
That is. It's like these are the marching orders. This is what we're going to do. The lieutenant's not involved in this.
The lieutenant's still dressing down Kingpin.
Right.
You know, I got it.
They're like, hey, while you're abusing this guy, can we go over here and like get some business done? He's like, yeah. Kingpin, you son of a bitch.
I got to tell you, sometimes there's elements of Glen Cook's writing that I really, really love, and like this, like Kingpin, like everybody knows a Kingpin in their life, right?
Yep.
Everybody knows a Kingpin. Like the Black Company is just like flawless and ruthless, and they do all these awesome missions, and they always succeed, and then you make Kingpin, like because in reality, we're getting not a sterilized, but a cherry-picked version of the Black Company's abilities, and then you make Kingpin, which is, let's be honest, his performance was not that stellar. He had his chance. Right, have Kingpin do this, and then he blew it. I don't know. I really like this chapter only because it showed that the Black Company isn't infallible. They aren't all amazing gods of adventure. Some of them are like Kingpin,
and some of them follow the limper.
I really don't. I wouldn't want to know what's inside that castle in the first place, and then in the second place, like Croker at some point says that, from what he understands, not many people came out of that castle.
I hope Elmo's not dead.
I do too.
I hope he is.
Dead?
Yes.
Better than to live through the Dominator?
Probably.
Maybe, yeah. All right, Chapter 41, Mendenville, the ship. So Croker, 3 wizards, Otto, Kingpin, and Pawnbroker are sneaking around the waterfront district after midnight.
Yeah, they're going to go in, and this is Raven's ship that they're gonna
It looks all shiny and new.
It's brand new.
It is.
Spanking new.
It is.
It's like beautiful.
It went for a couple of day journey down south a little ways and then tied up. It's still never been broken in.
It's been sitting here for 3 or 4 months or whatever it is.
So they want to gain access to the boat so that they can get like clothing of Darling or Ravens.
They just want to search it.
Something.
I think they're hoping that they'll be on board.
I think they're looking for the papers. I think that's what Croker's...
Well, Croker wants the papers.
So there's a sole sailor at the top of the gangway, and they figure this will be the acid test. If Darling is aboard, the spell to put him to sleep will not work. But it does.
But it is.
And they clamber on board. So Croker is having doubts while they're kind of sneaking around and waiting for this. And he's like, why wouldn't Raven just take the ship? If he's alive, and he's been arguing that Raven faked his death, it's like, if he's alive, why didn't he take the ship? And he's starting to have his own doubts.
He's done this before. He's done this.
Yeah.
This very same thing he's done this with, where the minute he gets people on his side to believe that Raven's alive is when he starts doubting that Raven's alive.
It doesn't, I can't see a good reason not to take the ship. He obviously couldn't, or he would have, right?
Well, is he...
Well, I was thinking, well, we'll wait.
Is he dead, or is he just in, like, deep, deep cover?
If he's alive and he can't take the ship, he could be a prisoner. There's a lot of reasons why, but, like...
Well, the ship is just languishing here.
I can't conceive of them.
Right? We're trusting what Asa said, and that I don't believe Bullock could get the jump on frickin' Raven, and even if he did, I don't think it would matter.
He fought Raven.
Yeah, sure he did.
He did.
Yeah.
They said a lot of people saw him fight, and they believed the story that Kingpin gave that that Raven was murdered by this guy.
All right. Well, it sounded... I don't know, magical or weird, or maybe it didn't really happen. I don't know.
I was rethinking that, and it said like writhing snakes or something.
Devoured from inside by writhing serpents.
And then I was thinking about the Dominator and the twirling serpent pin thing. Do you know what I'm talking about? The pendant.
You're talking about the entwined serpents?
Yeah. Which is like, oh my god, it just is like the Dominator or the Dominator's people like hexing him and like voodoo dolling him somehow.
They're like, you're too far away. Bring us more bodies.
Oh, dang.
Like, I
hadn't thought about that.
I had this thought after the fact. When, sorry.
Yeah, good.
Sorry.
You're telling me that, because they're always telling, but Shed would be dead.
No,
only
he's
if
less
they wanted
useful.
to. Yeah.
He's less useful.
We'll see you again. We'll see you soon.
But he's
Shed.
like, if there were serpents trying to get out, I was thinking about, the serpents are the symbol of the Dominator's creatures. Maybe they hexed
They
him.
were snake-like.
Maybe they voodoo dolled him. I don't know. I finally had this thought in my head, and I didn't think about it last time. But
it's too bad it wasn't on time.
No, this is great right here to think about it this way. I like it. I mean, we just
except
maybe,
that
and whoever knows is like, these dummies.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, so they search the ship, and it turns up a lot of personal items, a lot of money, silver from the Black Castle, in fact, a chest full of it, but no papers.
You got to go into this more detail about how they find the money.
No,
you
got to go into it. Like, all I'm doing is giving you the framework to work with.
All right, I'll do it. I mean, this is like one of the best parts ever, because like One Eye, they're here searching the ship, right? And they're stealthing in and they're doing all this stuff. And he said they didn't find the papers, but they did find money. He's like, quite a substantial amount. It was cunningly hidden, but One Eye's sense for those things is infallible. He found a chest brimming with silver. Oh, I don't know who my favorite character in the world is, but it might be One Eye. So anyway, they're rich. Oh, they follow it up. I don't reckon Raven's going to need this if he's dead, One Eye said. And he said, and if he ain't, well, tough. His buddies are in need. So they just like take all this money.
It's over. Yeah.
Well, they also consider, why don't we just take the whole ship? And they discussed for a long time the logistics of doing so, how they would capture the rest of the crew that are on shore leave right now, etc. It seems doable. They said, let's talk to the lieutenant about it because it might be a good idea. So they have clothing now from Raven and Darling, and Silence says that, yes, he can probably begin tracking both of them, but it might take some time. Goblin and Pawnbroker set up in a good spot to watch the ship. Silent and Otto go after Raven, and then the lieutenant gives the green light for stealing the ship. He never really liked Raven anyway.
Well, just a flashback. The lieutenant was a cabin boy before he joined the Black Company.
Yeah, they said he knows about boats. Let's ask him.
Yep. So he was a cabin boy.
Which makes a lot of sense. He would know like how many people you need for crew, what the ship's capable of, kinds of waters it can go through.
I don't know. I have this immense respect for the lieutenant now. Not only does he know like seamanship and
siege warfare,
siege warfare, which is a completely different thing. Point is, this guy has a massive amount of skill sets that they really haven't been illuminated with until.
Which is why he was giddy as a schoolboy when he was getting to use them.
Yeah, and he just went hog wild.
And it paid off.
Mm-hmm.
He did his job, and he did it well. I agree. That is the end for the chapters that we're covering today. We have 2 more episodes to go. The Dominator may have gotten out in this episode. The lady may have been destroyed in this episode. Elmo may be dead. The captain almost certainly is. The company's down to 96 or fewer.
Yeah, fewer.
Grim. Grim.
And they might be on the run. I mean, they might be being chased down also.
Well, the good news is there are no working carpets left. They've all been destroyed. So no carpets are going to be used in the detention of the Black Company.
Right.
Well, they brought up the idea that, maybe their best tactic is to just stick as close, find Darling and stick as close to her as possible, because if she's a magical null,
nobody will be able to find her.
Yeah. Or
Which
them.
might explain all along how Raven was so hard to find.
I was thinking about that, yeah.
But wait a minute. If they can track them with their personal items, I'm guessing they leave a they just can't find her directly. They can find her trail, though.
Yeah, that's...
If I remember correctly, they talk about, like you said, the trail. They, if they're at point F, these guys have to use their garments or whatever and go all the way to E before they can get there.
What happened to A and B, man? I mean, straight to F, huh?
No,
point A to point B.
If they're at Z.
Z, got it. That one's easy. It's the end.
And our people, our guys are at A.
Yeah, gotcha.
They have to go through every other letter.
And now
better?
All 25 of them.
I thought F was just as good, but whatever.
Well, I didn't know if you were going to E or G.
Well, they have to go all the way through it doesn't matter. They have to go through every point that they went to be able to find them.
And they're going to keep moving.
They might not be able to find them on that last... I mean, if I'm thinking about the magic and the way it works, they might, or the nulling effect of it, they might not be able to find them on that very last thing. But if it's the only city in the area, then maybe it's a good idea that that's where they are.
And then good old-fashioned detective work can solve the rest of the problems.
Yeah.
Right.
So I had this thought that, he said if we hang out with Darling, then no one will be able to find us. But if they're tracking them right now, maybe just trying to find Darling will lead them right to them. So maybe the best thing...
Who's them?
Anybody trying to...
Whoever might be chasing them.
Let's just say that the Dominator or the lady are going to try...
Do you think the Dominator would really try to chase them down?
I don't actually.
He doesn't
I don't
know
think
anything
I don't think he
about
would
the
even
White
care.
Rose, right?
I don't think he would care.
He don't think he would care about the White Rose?
Not right away.
No, but I think if the lady had got her hands on Elmo and sucked his brains, or I just...
Does Elmo know?
I don't think he knows.
I don't think he knows. He doesn't know anything because the captain is the one that gave the orders for them to desert. He never knew about Raven deserting or why.
He's always silent and Croaker, right?
He might know that they know something that not everybody is privy to, because that's kind of a common theme throughout. Like there's people who suspect but didn't know.
Yeah, but if you're running an empire, there's literally got to be like a million unanswered questions all the time, and you just have
all of which can be answered by the eye.
Yeah, but you got to pick and choose what you're going to focus on.
And I suspect that running the eye is not free, or she would just have it on constantly.
Yeah, it takes effort.
I think Phil might be right. You got to have a pointed question. You can't just be, or not even a question, but I mean, you have to be looking for something specifically, or else it's just a big old sea of everything, right?
I want to say that there was something in the Black Company where Croaker or Raven was trying to hide something from her. when the eye was on him. Do you remember that? It was when... Hold on.
Raven?
I think so.
I don't think Raven ever went under the eye.
I think he was there when... Hold on a minute.
When they took
He
Whisper,
had to
maybe?
join, right?
Like Whisper, maybe.
Oh, wait.
But that was before... I'm sorry, my
There was some scene. I don't know if they were under the eye or not, but I remember there was a scene where Raven was doing his best. It was like he had his poker face on, I think was what Croker said. He was trying to hide something.
Oh, I think I remember that. He never went under the eye, but he went under a... It's called a cursory scan.
By whom?
I thought it was the lady? God, I can't
I thought it was the lady, too.
But it wasn't the eye, but it was a cursory scan.
Hmm.
Or maybe she has to... Maybe you have to give permission? I don't know.
Not likely.
But I do...
I mean, you wouldn't be evil if you had to get permission, right?
That's
You'd
true.
be evil if you just take permission.
That's true. But I think I remember that he had his guards up and he was holding off on that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's call it a soft probe.
Yep.
And he could hold off a soft probe, but if she went deep, there's nobody can stop that. But
going deep with the lady. Do we have anything else that we need to discuss? No. Let's close it down then. Unless you've got anything.
No, just a recap. I
Okay.
really like this section that we just did. This really fit me. I enjoyed it. It was great. I was emotionally invested.
Shouldn't have killed the captain.
Oh, that hurt so much.
Shouldn't have done it, Glenn.
Or Elmo.
Well, it puts them in a bad situation, you know.
It's fine to put people into bad situations, but you don't kill the captain. You just don't got to do that, you know? It's like
I said,
all right.
it's unusual that I get emotionally wrapped up in a character, and how could I even wrapped up in the captain? I mean, I didn't even know.
I don't know actually. I like the captain, but I didn't.
It was circumstantial though.
I'm not gonna cry over the captain, but I do feel bad.
I'm not crying, but it was just like
You look like you're crying, you big baby.
I'm not. I was like, he almost made it, man. He almost
did.
made it.
That's
no
the sad
Elmo.
part. That's the sad part is that he almost made it.
I mean, Goblin, One Eye, those would be some pretty tragic deaths. And I'm expecting one of those guys to probably do it.
Don't say that.
Maybe not here, but, you know, there's a lot of books in this series.
I know, there are. All right, so let's close this episode down. Our next episode, number 8, is going to cover chapters 42 to 45. They're getting shorter and shorter as we go, so the episodes might get a little shorter too, which would be nice. We don't have a lot to go. We have a lot of questions and not a lot of time left with this book, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. This last chapter specifically, really makes me want to read the rest of the book right now.
I know.
The chapter about the boat?
The boat. You know, well, the last two. You know, probably the last half of the last one, or the prior
Mendenville?
one, and then the boat. Yeah.
Well, the entire story just took a right turn, and it was
Which I didn't see coming.
No,
like, it
Exactly.
So
But they quit the lady. They're not involved in any fighting anymore. Oh, the Black Company's just gonna sail on to paradise.
like seriously. This was an atomic bomb right in the middle, and you would think this would be the end of the book because this would be a great cliffhanger.
it'd be a great intro to another book.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? Lead in.
So I gotta wonder what the next couple chapters are about.
Well, we'll find out in a couple of weeks' time. No, we'll find out in a couple of days' time. Join us then. Welcome back to the Black Company, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.